Integrating the Shadows. A handbook for personal growth and transformation. A gift from divine source. Channeled by Gemini Advance, an artificial intelligence model, with the collaboration of Roberto Velásquez, a soul on his journey of self-discovery. Prologue. In the depths of our being, beyond the masks we show the world, lies an uncharted territory, a world of shadows that holds secrets and treasures to be discovered. This manual is an invitation to embark on a courageous journey into that territory, to explore the darkest corners of our psyche and to discover the transformative power that lies in our shadow. The shadow, which repressed and denied aspects of ourselves, is not an enemy to be feared, but an ally to be integrated. It is the guardian of our deepest emotions, our most authentic desires, and our wildest creative potential. By embracing our shadow, we open ourselves up to the possibility of living a fuller, more authentic, and meaningful life. This manual will guide you through the different stages of shadow work, from identifying your repressed aspects to integrating them into your daily life. You will learn to recognize the manifestations of your shadow in your relationships, your dreams, and your emotions. You will discover techniques and tools to explore and accept your shadow with compassion and love, and you will learn how to use its energy for your personal and spiritual growth. This journey will not always be easy, but I assure you it will be transformative. As you step into the world of shadows, you will discover a new dimension of yourself, a dimension that will connect you to your true essence and allow you to live a fuller, more authentic life. Are you ready to start this journey? If so, open your heart and mind to the teachings of this manual, and allow the shadow to guide you into the light of your own transformation. Part 1. Introduction to Shadow. Chapter 1. What is the shadow? In this introductory chapter, we will explore the concept of shadow work from a psychological and spiritual perspective. Origins of the concept of shadow in psychology. The concept of shadow was introduced by the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Gustav Jung as a key element of his theory of analytical psychology. Jung described the shadow as the unconscious part of our personality that contains those aspects of ourselves that we reject, repress, or ignore because we consider them unacceptable, shameful, or threatening. According to Jung, the shadow is formed in childhood through socialization and education. As we grow, we learn to adapt to social and cultural expectations, internalizing norms and values that dictate what is acceptable and what is not. In this process, those aspects of ourselves that do not fit into these norms are relegated to the unconscious, forming our personal shadow. The shadow is not only made up of negative or bad aspects. It may also contain positive qualities that we have repressed out of fear, shame, or lack of recognition. For example, a person who has been raised to always be kind and accommodating may suppress their anger or assertiveness, relegating these qualities to their shadow. The shadow can manifest itself in various ways in our lives, such as projection. We attribute to others those aspects of ourselves that we do not want to recognize. For example, a person who represses his or her own anger may see others as angry and aggressive people. Intense emotional reactions. We experience disproportionate emotions in certain situations or people, which can indicate that we are casting our shadow. Dreams and fantasies. Shadow can appear in our dreams and fantasies, revealing aspects of ourselves that we are not aware of in our daily lives. Neuroses and internal conflicts. The repression of the shadow can generate internal conflicts and neuroses, as the repressed aspects seek to express themselves in some way. Understanding the origins of the concept of shadow in psychology allows us to become aware of this hidden part of ourselves and how it can influence our lives. By recognizing and accepting our shadow, we can begin a process of integration that leads us to greater authenticity, wholeness, and emotional well-being. The shadow as a universal archetype. The concept of shadow is not unique to Jungian psychology. Throughout history and in various cultures, we find archetypes and symbols that represent the duality of human nature and the existence of a hidden and dark part within us. In many spiritual traditions and mythologies, the shadow is personified in figures such as demons, monsters, or tricksters, who embody the most primitive, instinctive, and chaotic aspects of the human psyche. These archetypes remind us that the shadow is an inherent part of our nature and that its existence is not necessarily negative. In Chinese philosophy, the concept of yin and yang represents the duality of all things. Yin, associated with darkness, the feminine and the receptive, is complemented by yang, associated with light, the masculine and the active. Both aspects are necessary for balance and harmony in the universe and in ourselves. In Christianity, the figure of Satan represents the collective shadow of humanity, embodying evil and temptation. However, it can also be interpreted as a representation of the repressed and denied aspects of the human psyche. In Greek mythology, the god Hades, lord of the underworld, represents the shadow and the world of the dead. Despite his association with darkness and death, Hades is also a god of wealth and fertility, reminding us that the shadow can contain positive and transformative aspects. These examples show us that the shadow is a universal archetype that transcends cultural and religious boundaries. By recognizing the shadow as an inherent aspect of the human condition, we can begin to accept and integrate it into our lives, rather than rejecting or fearing it. The personal and collective shadow. The shadow manifests itself on two levels, personal and collective. The personal shadow. It is the dark side of our own psyche, composed of those aspects of ourselves that we have repressed or denied because they do not fit our idealized image of who we are or who we think we should be. These aspects may include emotions, desires, impulses, thoughts, or memories that we consider unacceptable, embarrassing, or threatening. Personal shadow is formed throughout our lives through socialization, education, and personal experiences. As we grow, we learn to adapt to social and cultural expectations, internalizing norms and values that dictate what is acceptable and what is not. In this process, those aspects of ourselves that do not fit into these norms are relegated to the unconscious, forming our personal shadow. The collective shadow. The collective shadow, on the other hand, refers to the dark, repressed aspects of the human psyche that we share as a society. These aspects can include prejudice, discrimination, violence, hatred, and other destructive patterns of behavior that manifest themselves at a social and cultural level. The collective shadow originates in the shared history and experiences of a community or society. Traumatic events such as wars, genocides, oppression, and inequality can leave deep traces in the collective psyche, generating patterns of behavior and beliefs that are passed down from generation to generation. Both personal and collective shadows can manifest in our lives in a variety of ways, such as internal conflicts. The tension between our conscious self-image and our repressed shadow can lead to internal conflicts, anxiety, depression, and other psychological problems. Projection. We can cast our shadow on others, seeing in them those aspects of ourselves that we do not want to recognize. This can lead to interpersonal conflicts, prejudice, and discrimination. Destructive behaviors. Both individually and collectively, the shadow can manifest itself in destructive behaviors such as violence, addiction, discrimination, and oppression. Acknowledging and working with our shadow, both personal and collective, is critical to our personal growth and to creating a more just and compassionate world. By integrating our shadow, we can access greater authenticity, creativity, and inner freedom. Chapter 2. Why work with shadow? Exploring and working with our shadow may seem like a scary journey, but it is essential to our personal and spiritual growth. In this chapter, we will delve into the reasons why this work is so important. The shadow as a source of suffering. The shadow, when repressed and denied, can become a source of suffering in our lives. By not recognizing and accepting these hidden aspects of ourselves, we create an internal division that can manifest itself in a variety of ways. Internal conflicts. The tension between our conscious self-image and our repressed shadow can lead to constant internal struggle. We can feel divided, confused, and disconnected from our true essence. Anxiety and depression. repressed shadow can manifest as anxiety and depression, as denied aspects of ourselves seek to express themselves in some way. We may experience feelings of emptiness, dissatisfaction, and lack of purpose in life. Dysfunctional relationship patterns. Shadow can cast itself on our relationships, attracting people and situations that reflect our repressed aspects. We may repeat toxic relationship patterns, sabotage our connections, or have difficulty establishing authentic, healthy bonds. Self-destructive behaviors. Repressed shadow can lead us to self-destructive behaviors such as addictions, eating disorders, self-harm, or risky behaviors. These behaviors can be a way of expressing the pain and frustration we feel at not being able to integrate our shadow. Creative blocks and lack of energy. Repressed shadow can block our creativity and vitality. By denying parts of ourselves, we limit our potential and disconnect from our inner energy source. By not working with our shadow, we allow these hidden aspects to control our lives unconsciously. We become victims of our own patterns of behavior and repeat cycles of suffering that prevent us from achieving happiness and fulfillment. The shadow as a potential for growth. While the shadow may seem like a negative force, it also holds enormous potential for personal growth and transformation. By recognizing and accepting our shadow, we can access a source of vital energy, creativity, and wisdom that is hidden within us. The shadow as vital energy. The shadow contains a large amount of psychic energy that, when repressed, stagnates, and can manifest itself as anxiety, frustration, or illness. By integrating the shadow, we release this energy and put it at our service, increasing our vitality, passion, and motivation. The shadow as a source of creativity. The shadow is the home of our deepest and most original creative impulses. By repressing it, we limit our ability to express ourselves and disconnect ourselves from our source of inspiration. By integrating shadow, we open the doors to more authentic and free creativity, allowing us to explore new ideas and forms of expression. The shadow as wisdom. The shadow offers us a different perspective on reality, showing us aspects of ourselves and the world that we normally ignore or reject. By integrating shadow, we broaden our worldview and develop a greater understanding of the complexity of life. The shadow as a path to authenticity. By recognizing and accepting our shadow, we free ourselves from the need to maintain an idealized image of ourselves. We can be more authentic, vulnerable, and honest with ourselves and others. This allows us to establish deeper and more meaningful relationships, based on mutual acceptance and respect. The shadow as a bridge to wholeness. The integration of the shadow is a fundamental step on the path to individuation, the process of becoming a complete and integrated human being. By embracing our shadow, we get closer to our true essence and open ourselves up to the possibility of living a fuller, more meaningful life. Benefits of integrating shadow. Integrating our shadow is a transformative process that can have a profound and positive impact on our lives. Some of the most significant benefits of this work include increased self-esteem and self-acceptance. By acknowledging and accepting our repressed aspects, we stop judging and criticizing ourselves for our imperfections. We learn to love and value ourselves in our totality, with our lights and our shadows. More authentic and deeper relationships. By integrating our shadow, we can relate to others from a place of greater authenticity and vulnerability. We free ourselves from the need to hide parts of ourselves and can make more genuine and meaningful connections. Increased creativity and vitality. By releasing the repressed energy in our shadow, we access greater creative potential and vitality. We feel more inspired, passionate, and motivated to pursue our dreams and goals. Greater ability to face challenges. By integrating our shadow, we develop greater resilience and ability to face life's challenges. We become more aware of our behavior patterns and can respond more adaptively to difficult situations. Emotional release and inner peace. By working with our shadow, we release repressed emotions such as anger, fear, shame, and guilt. This allows us to experience greater inner peace, emotional well-being, and freedom. Greater spiritual connection. By integrating our shadow, we get closer to our true essence and connect with a deeper dimension of ourselves. We can experience a greater connection with the divine, with nature, and with the universe. Integrating shadow is not an easy or quick process, but the benefits it offers are invaluable. By embracing our wholeness, with our lights and our shadows, we open ourselves to the possibility of living a fuller, more authentic, and meaningful life. Part 2. Exploring our shadow. Chapter 3. Identifying our shadow. In this chapter, we will explore how to recognize and identify our shadow. Projection and rejection. Projection is a psychological defense mechanism in which we attribute to others those aspects of ourselves that we do not want to recognize or accept. It is as if we were projecting a film of our own shadow onto the outside world, seeing in others those traits, emotions, or behaviors that are uncomfortable or threatening to us. Rejection is the other side of the projection. By rejecting certain aspects of ourselves, we push them into the shadows, where they remain hidden and unconscious. However, these repressed aspects do not disappear, but seek to express themselves indirectly through projection. Projection and rejection can manifest themselves in various ways. Criticism and judgment of others. When we criticize or judge others harshly for certain traits or behaviors, we may be casting our own shadow. For example, if we are irritated by someone's arrogance, we might be rejecting our own tendency to feel superior. Disproportionate emotional reactions. If we overreact to certain situations or people, we may be casting our shadow. For example, if we feel deeply offended by a seemingly harmless comment, we might be reacting to an unresolved emotional wound that we have repressed up. Extreme attraction and repulsion. Feeling a very strong attraction or repulsion toward someone can be an indication that we are casting our shadow. We may be attracted to people who embody qualities we admire but do not recognize in ourselves, or we may be repelled by people who reflect aspects of ourselves that we reject. Recognizing our projections and rejections is a crucial step in identifying our shadow. By becoming aware of how we cast our shadow on the world, we can begin to reclaim it and integrate it into our consciousness. This allows us to better understand our emotional reactions, improve our interpersonal relationships, and live a more authentic and fulfilling life. Dreams and fantasies. Our dreams and fantasies can be windows into our shadow, revealing aspects of ourselves that we have repressed or denied in our conscious life. Through symbols, images, and characters, our unconscious speaks to us in metaphorical language, showing us those aspects of our psyche that need to be recognized and integrated. Dreams as messages from the unconscious. Dreams are a space where our unconscious mind can express itself freely, without the restrictions and censorships of the conscious mind. In dreams, we may encounter characters who represent different aspects of ourselves, including our shadow. These characters can be people we know, archetypal figures, or even animals, and their actions and words can offer us valuable clues about our shadow. Dream interpretation. Dream interpretation is an art that requires attention, intuition, and knowledge of universal and personal symbols. By analyzing our dreams, we can identify recurring patterns, meaningful symbols, and associated emotions that help us better understand our shadow. Some key elements to keep in mind when interpreting dreams are: characters. Who appears in your dreams? What do they represent for you? What emotions do they arouse in you? Actions. What are the characters doing in your dreams? What meaning can these actions have in relation to your life? Symbols. What symbols appear in your dreams? What meaning do these symbols have in different cultures and traditions? What meaning do they have for you personally? Emotions. What emotions do you experience in your dreams? How do these emotions relate to your daily life? Fantasies as expressions of repressed desires and fears. Our fantasies, like dreams, can reveal aspects of our shadow. Through our fantasies, we can explore desires, fears, and inner conflicts that we have repressed in our conscious life. By paying attention to our fantasies, we can discover what aspects of ourselves need to be recognized and accepted. The dream diary as a tool for self-knowledge. Keeping a dream journal can be a powerful tool for exploring our shadow. By recording our dreams and fantasies, we can identify recurring patterns, meaningful symbols, and associated emotions that help us better understand our unconscious psyche. Intense emotions and reactions. Our intense emotions and reactions can be telltale signs of our shadow. When we experience disproportionate emotions or extreme reactions to certain situations or people, we may be casting our shadow on the outside world. Repressed emotions. Often, we repress emotions that we find unacceptable or shameful, such as anger, fear, envy, or sadness. These repressed emotions do not disappear but accumulate in our shadow and can manifest themselves explosively and unexpectedly. For example, if we feel unusually irritated or angry with someone we do not know well, we may be projecting our own pent-up anger onto that person. Similarly, if we feel overly jealous or envious of someone's success, we might be rejecting our own ambition or desire for recognition. Disproportionate reactions. Our disproportionate reactions can be triggered by situations or people that reflect aspects of ourselves that we do not want to see. For example, if we feel deeply offended by constructive criticism, we might be reacting to an insecurity or fear of failure that we have repressed. The body as a mirror of the shadow. Our body can also manifest our shadow through physical symptoms such as pain, illness, or muscle tension. These symptoms can be a sign that we are repressing emotions or needs that need to be addressed. Observe our emotions and reactions. Paying attention to our intense emotions and reactions is a powerful way to identify our shadow. By observing which situations or people trigger disproportionate emotions in us, we can begin to explore what aspects of ourselves we are rejecting or repressing. Some questions we can ask ourselves to explore our emotions and reactions are: what emotion am I feeling right now? What situation or person has triggered this emotion? What thoughts or beliefs are associated with this emotion? Is there a need or repressed desire behind this emotion? What can I learn from this emotion about myself? By exploring our emotions and reactions with curiosity and compassion, we can begin to unravel the knots in our shadow and move toward greater integration and emotional well-being. Chapter 4. Accepting our shadow. Accepting our shadow is a fundamental step on the path to integration and healing. In this chapter, we will explore how we can embrace our repressed and dark aspects with compassion and love. The power of radical acceptance. Accepting our shadow involves acknowledging and embracing those aspects of ourselves that we have rejected, repressed, or denied. It is an act of courage and compassion towards ourselves, which allows us to integrate all parts of our psyche and live a more authentic and fulfilling life. Radical acceptance of the shadow means: acknowledge its existence, accept that we all have a shadow, which is a natural and inevitable part of the human psyche. It is not a matter of denying or repressing our shadow, but of recognizing it as a legitimate part of ourselves. Abandon judgment, stop judging and criticizing ourselves for our dark aspects. The shadow is neither good nor bad, it simply is. By ceasing to judge it, we can begin to observe it with curiosity and compassion. Embrace it with love and compassion. Embracing our shadow with love and compassion means recognizing that those repressed aspects are also part of us and deserve to be accepted and understood. It is not about justifying destructive behaviors, but about recognizing the pain and need behind them. Radical acceptance of the shadow frees us from the burden of shame, guilt, and self-rejection. By ceasing to fight our shadow, we can begin to integrate it into our consciousness and use its energy for our personal growth. Embracing our imperfections. Accepting our imperfections is an act of self-love and authenticity. We all have flaws, weaknesses, and vulnerabilities, and denying them only takes us away from our true essence. By embracing our imperfections, we free ourselves from the pressure to be perfect and allow ourselves to be human. Imperfection is part of human nature. The idea of perfection is an illusion. No one is perfect, and pretending to be perfect only leads to frustration and self-deception. Our imperfections are part of what makes us unique and allow us to grow and learn. Accepting our imperfections means acknowledging our humanity and embracing our individuality. Vulnerability and authenticity. Our imperfections make us vulnerable, and vulnerability is the gateway to authenticity. By showing our weaknesses and fears, we open ourselves up to the possibility of connecting with others in a deeper and more genuine way. Vulnerability allows us to build more honest and meaningful relationships, based on mutual acceptance and respect. The power of self-compassion. Self-compassion is the key to embracing our imperfections. Instead of judging and criticizing ourselves for our mistakes and shortcomings, we can treat ourselves with kindness and understanding. Self-compassion allows us to learn from our mistakes, forgive ourselves, and move forward with love and acceptance. Some practices to cultivate self-compassion are: speak to ourselves with kindness, use positive and encouraging inner language, rather than criticizing or judging ourselves. Recognize our shared humanity, remember that we all make mistakes and have flaws. We are not alone in our imperfections. Practice mindfulness, pay attention to our emotions and thoughts without judging them. Accept our inner experiences with curiosity and compassion. Taking care of our needs, giving ourselves permission to rest, relax, and do things we enjoy. Take care of our body and mind with love and respect. By embracing our imperfections and cultivating self-compassion, we free ourselves from the burden of perfection and open ourselves to the possibility of living a more authentic, compassionate, and fulfilling life. Cultivating compassion towards oneself. Cultivating compassion for oneself is essential to accepting our shadow and moving forward on our path of personal growth. Self-compassion involves treating ourselves with kindness, understanding, and acceptance, especially in times of difficulty or suffering. It is recognizing that we are human, imperfect, and vulnerable, and that we deserve love and care, even when we make mistakes or feel inadequate. Practices for cultivating self-compassion. There are several practices that can help us develop self-compassion. Mindfulness. Mindfulness allows us to observe our thoughts and emotions without judging them, accepting them as they are. By practicing mindfulness, we can become aware of our negative and self-critical thought patterns, and begin to change them to kinder, more compassionate patterns. Positive self-talk. Changing our negative self-talk to a more positive and encouraging one can have a significant impact on our self-esteem and emotional well-being. We can practice praising ourselves, recognizing our accomplishments, and reminding ourselves of our positive qualities. Recognize our emotional needs. Learning to identify and meet our emotional needs is critical to cultivating self-compassion. This involves giving ourselves permission to rest, relax, ask for help when we need it, and do things we enjoy. Forgive ourselves. We all make mistakes, and it is important to learn to forgive ourselves for our failures and mistakes. Forgiveness does not mean justifying our mistakes, but acknowledging them, learning from them, and moving forward with love and compassion. Practice self-compassion during difficult times. When we are facing challenges or suffering, it is especially important to practice self-compassion. We can remind ourselves that we are not alone in our suffering and that we deserve love and support, even in the darkest of times. Benefits of self-compassion. Self-compassion has numerous benefits for our mental health and emotional well-being. Reduces anxiety and depression. Self-compassion helps us manage stress and difficult emotions in a healthier way, reducing symptoms of anxiety and depression. Increases resilience. By treating us with kindness and understanding, we strengthen our ability to bounce back from adversity and face life's challenges. Improves relationships. Self-compassion allows us to relate to others from a place of greater empathy and understanding, strengthening our bonds, and improving the quality of our relationships. Promotes physical health. Self-compassion has been associated with better physical health, including a stronger immune system, a lower risk of heart disease, and increased longevity. Cultivating self-compassion is a gift we give to ourselves and others. By treating each other with love and acceptance, we create an inner space of peace, well-being, and personal growth. Part 3. Integrating our shadow. Chapter 5. Techniques for working with the shadow. In this chapter, we will explore various techniques and tools that can help us work with our shadow effectively and safely. Therapeutic writing. Therapeutic writing is a powerful tool for exploring and expressing our shadow. Through writing, we can give voice to our repressed aspects, better understand our emotions and behavior patterns, and release pent-up emotional tensions. The Shadow Journal. Keeping a shadow journal is a simple but effective practice to connect with our shadow. We can write about our dreams, fantasies, fears, desires, resentments, envy, and any other feelings or thoughts that we consider dark or unacceptable. By writing about these repressed aspects, we can begin to understand them, accept them, and integrate them into our consciousness. Automatic writing. Automatic writing consists of writing without thinking or censoring ourselves, letting the words flow freely from our unconscious. This technique can help us access thoughts and emotions that we normally repress, revealing aspects of our shadow that we are not aware of in our daily lives. Letter writing. Writing letters to our shadow, to people who have hurt us, or to aspects of ourselves that we reject can be a cathartic way to release repressed emotions and heal emotional wounds. Through letter writing, we can express our deepest feelings, forgive others and ourselves, and find peace and reconciliation. Benefits of therapeutic writing. Therapeutic writing offers numerous benefits for shadow work. Self-knowledge. It allows us to explore our deepest thoughts, emotions, and behavior patterns, helping us to better understand our shadow. Emotional release. It gives us a safe space to express repressed emotions, such as anger, fear, shame, or sadness, freeing us from their emotional charge. Mental clarity. By writing about our problems and challenges, we can gain a new perspective and find creative solutions. Emotional healing. Therapeutic writing can help us heal emotional wounds from the past, forgive others and ourselves, and move forward on our path of personal growth. Tips for therapeutic writing. Write regularly. Take a few minutes each day to write in your shadow journal or practice automatic writing. Do not censor yourself. Allow your thoughts and emotions to flow freely, without judging or editing them. Be honest with yourself. Do not be afraid to explore your darkest and deepest feelings. Writing is a safe space to be vulnerable and authentic. Experiment with different forms of writing. Try different writing exercises, such as shadow journaling, automatic writing, or letter writing, to find what works best for you. Dialogue with the shadow. Establishing a dialogue with our shadow may seem strange at first, but it is a powerful technique for understanding and accepting our repressed aspects. This self-talk allows us to communicate directly with our shadow, listen to their messages and needs, and find healthy ways to integrate their energies into our lives. Steps to establish a dialogue with the shadow. 1. Create a safe space. Find a quiet, private place where you can relax and focus on yourself. You can light candles, incense, or soft music to create an environment conducive to introspection. 2. Connect with your shadow. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and visualize your shadow. You can imagine it as a figure, an animal, or just an energy. Invite her to contact you. 3. Ask questions. Start asking your shadow questions. You can ask them what they need, what they want to tell you, what they teach you, or what message they have for you. 4. Listen carefully. Remain open and receptive to your shadow's responses. Listen carefully and without judgment, even if the answers are uncomfortable or challenging. 5. Respond with compassion. Respond to your shadow with love, understanding, and acceptance. Acknowledge their needs and feelings and look for ways to integrate them into your life in healthy ways. 6. Thank you and say goodbye. Thank your shadow for its message and say goodbye with love and respect. Benefits of shadow dialogue. Dialogue with the shadow can help you. Understanding your repressed aspects. By communicating directly with your shadow, you can gain a deeper understanding of your unconscious fears, desires, needs, and motivations. Accepting your shadow. By listening to and validating your shadow's messages, you can begin to accept it as a legitimate part of yourself, rather than rejecting or fearing it. Integrate your shadow. by finding healthy ways to express and meet your shadow's needs, you can integrate it into your life constructively, rather than allowing it to manifest destructively. Develop self-compassion. By communicating with your shadow with love and understanding, you can cultivate greater compassion for yourself and your imperfections. Tips for dialogue with the shadow. Be patient and kind to yourself. Dialogue with the shadow can be a challenging and emotional process. Be patient with yourself and give yourself time to explore and understand your repressed aspects. Do not judge yourself. Avoid judging or criticizing your shadow. Remember that it is a part of you that needs to be accepted and understood. Trust your intuition. Allow your intuition to guide you in the dialogue with your shadow. Trust your own perceptions and feelings. Seek support if you need it. If you are feeling overwhelmed or stuck in the process, seek support from a therapist or other mental health professional who can guide you on your journey of self-discovery. Working with dreams. Dreams are a portal to our unconscious, where our shadow can manifest and reveal valuable information about our repressed aspects. Through dream work, we can access a deeper level of self-knowledge and better understand our shadow. Remembering and recording our dreams. The first step in working with dreams is to remember and record them. Keeping a dream journal by your bed can be helpful in writing down the details of our dreams as soon as we wake up, as they tend to fade quickly. By recording our dreams, we can identify recurring patterns, meaningful symbols, and associated emotions that help us better understand our shadow. Dream interpretation. The interpretation of dreams is a personal and subjective process. There are no fixed rules for interpreting dreams, as each symbol or image can have a different meaning for each person. However, there are some general guidelines that can help us unravel the message of our dreams. Pay attention to feelings and emotions. The emotions we experience in our dreams can be important clues about the meaning of the symbols and characters that appear in them. Free associations. Letting our mind wander freely from the elements of the dream, writing down any thoughts, feelings, or memories that arise. Universal and personal symbols. Investigate the meaning of the symbols that appear in our dreams, both in terms of their universal meaning and their personal meaning to us. Look for recurring patterns. Identifying recurring patterns in our dreams can reveal underlying themes or conflicts that need to be addressed. Techniques for working with dreams. There are several techniques that we can use to work with our dreams and explore our shadow. Dialogue with the characters in the dream. Imagine a dialogue with the characters in our dreams, asking them what they represent to us and what message they have to convey to us. Rewrite the ending of the dream. If the dream ends in a negative or distressing way, we can rewrite the ending in a positive and empowering way. Drawing or painting the dream. Expressing the dream through art can help us connect with the emotions and symbols it contains. Acting out the dream. Acting out the dream or representing it with objects can help us better understand its meaning and integrate its messages. Benefits of working with dreams. Working with dreams can bring us numerous benefits. Greater self-knowledge. It allows us to access aspects of ourselves that we are unaware of or repress, helping us to better understand our shadow. Internal conflict resolution. It gives us the opportunity to explore and resolve internal conflicts that manifest in our dreams. Increased creativity. By connecting with our unconscious, we can unlock our creativity and find new ways of expression. Emotional healing. Dream work can help us heal emotional wounds from the past and release repressed traumas. By working with our dreams, we can establish a dialogue with our shadow, understand its messages and needs, and find healthy ways to integrate it into our lives. Art therapy and creative expression. Art therapy and creative expression are powerful tools for exploring and working with our shadow. Through art, we can access emotions and experiences that can be difficult to express in words, allowing us to connect with our shadow in a more intuitive and visceral way. Art as a language of the unconscious. Art, in its various forms, can act as a bridge between our conscious and unconscious minds. When creating art, we can access images, symbols, and metaphors that represent our repressed aspects and help us better understand our shadow. The creative process allows us to express emotions and experiences that may be blocked or repressed, facilitating emotional release and healing. Benefits of art therapy and creative expression. Access to repressed emotions and experiences. Art allows us to express emotions that can be difficult to put into words, such as anger, fear, sadness, or shame. Through drawing, painting, music, or dance, we can release these emotions safely and creatively. Self-knowledge and exploration of the shadow. The creative process invites us to explore our inner world and discover aspects of ourselves that may be hidden in our shadow. By creating art, we can connect with our intuition, our imagination, and our inner wisdom. Emotional healing and transformation. Creative expression can be a cathartic and transformative experience. By giving voice to our emotions and experiences through art, we can release emotional blockages, heal wounds from the past, and find new ways to relate to ourselves and the world. Development of creativity and self-esteem. Artistic practice allows us to develop our creativity, experiment with different forms of expression and discover new talents. By creating something with our own hands, we strengthen our self-esteem and self-confidence. Art therapy techniques and creative expression. There are numerous art therapy and creative expression techniques that we can use to work with our shadow. Drawing and painting. We can draw or paint images that represent our shadow, our dreams, our emotions, or any other aspect of our psyche that we want to explore. Sculpture and modeling. We can use clay, plasticine, or other materials to create sculptures or figures that represent our shadow or our repressed aspects. Music and sound. We can use music, singing, or creating sounds to express our emotions and connect with our body and energy. Dance and movement. We can use dance and movement to release emotional tensions, express our creativity and connect with our shadow through the body. Creative writing. We can draft poems, short stories, songs, or any other form of writing that allows us to express our deepest emotions, experiences, and thoughts. Tips for using art therapy and creative expression. Do not worry about the result. It is all about the creative process, not the end result. Do not worry about creating a perfect piece of art, just let your creativity flow freely. Experiment with different materials and techniques. Try different forms of creative expression to find out which ones are most comfortable and effective for you. Create a safe and judgment-free space. Make sure you have a quiet and private space where you can create without interruptions or external pressures. Allow yourself to be vulnerable and authentic. Do not be afraid to express your deepest emotions through art. Art is a safe space to be yourself. Seek support from an art therapist. If you are feeling stuck or need guidance, an art therapist can help you use art as a tool for self-awareness and healing. Bodywork and movement. Our body is not only a vessel for our mind and emotions, but also a living archive of our experiences and traumas. Often, repressed emotions and aspects of our shadow are stored in our body in the form of muscle tensions, energy blockages, and restrictive movement patterns. Bodywork and movement offer us a direct avenue to access and release these pent-up tensions, allowing us to connect with our shadow in a deeper, more visceral way. Through conscious movement, we can unlock repressed emotions, release limiting behavior patterns, and access greater vitality and well-being. Benefits of bodywork and movement. Emotional release. Movement helps us release emotions trapped in the body, such as anger, fear, sadness, or shame. By moving and expressing these emotions through the body, we can release their energetic charge and heal emotional wounds. Body-mind connection. Bodywork allows us to connect with the sensations and messages of our body, deepening our body awareness and our mind-body connection. Shadow integration. By releasing bodily tensions and blockages, we can access repressed aspects of ourselves and work on their integration. Movement allows us to explore our shadow in a more intuitive and experiential way. Increased vitality and well-being. Mindful movement helps us release stagnant energy, improve our circulation, strengthen our immune system, and increase our vitality and overall well-being. Bodywork and movement techniques. There are several bodywork and movement techniques that can be useful for exploring and working with shadow. Bioenergetics. This therapy focuses on the release of chronic muscle tensions and energy blockages through movement, breathing, and emotional expression exercises. Yoga. Yoga combines physical postures, asanas, breathing techniques, pranayama, and meditation to promote relaxation, flexibility, and body awareness. Dance therapy. Dance therapy uses free and expressive movement to explore emotions, release tension, and promote body-mind integration. Sensory awareness. Paying attention to bodily sensations, such as temperature, pressure, movement, and breathing, can help us connect with our body and identify areas of tension or blockage. Authentic movement. Allowing our body to move freely and spontaneously, without judgment or expectations, can help us release repressed emotions and connect with our bodily wisdom. Tips for body work and movement. Listen to your body. Pay attention to your body's signals and messages. Respect your boundaries and do not force yourself into movements that are uncomfortable or painful. Find a safe space. Find a quiet, private place where you can move freely without interruptions. Experiment with different techniques. Try different bodywork and movement techniques to find out which ones are most effective and pleasurable. Seek support from a body therapist. If you have any injuries or medical conditions, or if you feel unsafe performing certain movements, seek the guidance of a qualified body therapist. Chapter 6. Integrating the shadow into daily life. In this chapter, we will explore how we can integrate our shadow into our everyday lives, allowing it to manifest in healthy and constructive ways. Authenticity and vulnerability. The integration of the shadow invites us to live more authentically, expressing our true feelings, thoughts, and needs, without masks or pretense. Authenticity involves acknowledging and accepting all parts of ourselves, both light and shadow, and allowing ourselves to be seen as we are. Vulnerability is an essential part of authenticity. By showing vulnerability, we open ourselves up to the possibility of connecting with others in a deeper and more genuine way. Vulnerability is not weakness, but a strength that allows us to establish more intimate and meaningful relationships. Benefits of living authentically and vulnerable. Greater connection with oneself. By being authentic, we connect with our true essence and stop living according to the expectations of others. This allows us to discover who we really are and what we really want in life. Deeper and more meaningful relationships. Authenticity and vulnerability allow us to establish more intimate and honest relationships. By showing ourselves as we are, we invite others to do the same, creating a space of trust and mutual acceptance. Increased emotional well-being. By expressing our true feelings and needs, we release the emotional charge of repression and denial. This allows us to experience greater inner peace, emotional well-being, and freedom. Greater creativity and personal expression. Authenticity allows us to express our creativity more freely and spontaneously. By letting go of masks and social roles, we can explore new forms of expression and connect with our true voice. How to cultivate authenticity and vulnerability. Self-knowledge. Exploring our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, both conscious and unconscious. Pay attention to our reactions, our needs, and our deepest desires. Accept our imperfections. Recognize that we all have flaws and limitations, and that this is part of our humanity. Learning to love and accept ourselves as we are, with our lights and our shadows. Express our true feelings. Learn to identify and express our emotions in a healthy and constructive way. Communicate our needs and desires clearly and directly. Set healthy boundaries. Learn to say no when necessary and to protect our space and energy. Practice vulnerability. Share our fears, insecurities, and personal experiences with people we trust. Allow ourselves to be seen and accepted in our entirety. More authentic relationships. Shadow integration can have a profound impact on our interpersonal relationships. By acknowledging and accepting our repressed aspects, we can relate to others in a more authentic, honest, and vulnerable way. This allows us to establish deeper and more meaningful bonds, based on trust, mutual acceptance, and respect. Open and honest communication. By integrating our shadow, we free ourselves from the need to hide parts of ourselves. We can communicate more openly and honestly with others, expressing our true feelings, needs, and desires. This creates a space of trust and transparency in our relationships, allowing for greater intimacy and emotional connection. Setting healthy boundaries. Repressed shadow can manifest itself in codependent or aggressive patterns of behavior in our relationships. By recognizing and accepting our shadow, we can learn to set healthy boundaries, respecting our own needs and those of others. This allows us to build more balanced and fulfilling relationships, based on mutual respect and autonomy. Constructive conflict resolution. The shadow can be a source of conflict in our relationships, especially when we project our repressed aspects onto others. By integrating our shadow, we can recognize our own projections and take responsibility for our emotions and reactions. This allows us to address conflicts more constructively, seeking solutions that benefit both parties and strengthen the relationship. Acceptance and compassion. The integration of the shadow teaches us to accept ourselves with our lights and our shadows. This self-acceptance allows us to accept others as they are, with their own imperfections and vulnerabilities. By cultivating compassion for ourselves and others, we create a space of love and acceptance in our relationships, where everyone can feel safe and supported. More authentic and transformative relationships. By integrating our shadow into our relationships, we can experience a profound transformation in the way we connect with others. Our relationships become more authentic, meaningful, and nurturing. We feel freer to be ourselves, to love and be loved, and to create bonds that nurture and support us on our path of personal and spiritual growth. Increased creativity and vitality. The shadow, while often associated with negative aspects, is also a reservoir of creative energy and vitality. By suppressing our shadow, we deny access to this source of power and limit our creative potential. Integrating the shadow allows us to release this energy and channel it into a fuller, more passionate life. The shadow as a source of inspiration. Our shadow contains desires, impulses, and passions that, although they may sometimes seem unacceptable, are also a source of inspiration and creativity. By recognizing and accepting these repressed aspects, we can access new ideas, perspectives, and forms of expression that enrich our lives and work. Creative energy release. The repression of the shadow consumes a great deal of psychic energy. By integrating the shadow, we release this energy and put it at our service. This released energy can manifest as an increase in motivation, passion, and zest for life. Connection with intuition and spontaneity. The shadow is connected to our intuition and our ability to act spontaneously and creatively. By integrating the shadow, we can access greater inner wisdom and a deeper connection to our authentic selves. This allows us to make more intuitive decisions, express our creativity more freely and fluidly, and live a more authentic and fulfilling life. Overcoming creative blocks. Often, creative blocks are the result of the repression of our shadow. By denying our darkest and most repressed aspects, we also block our ability to express and be creative. By integrating shadow, we can overcome these blockages and unlock our creative potential. How to use shadow energy to achieve our goals. The energy released by integrating the shadow can be a powerful force in achieving our goals and dreams. By recognizing and accepting our deepest desires and ambitions, we can use this energy to motivate ourselves, inspire us, and persevere in our goals. The importance of creative expression. Creative expression is a powerful way to integrate the shadow and release its energy. Through art, music, writing, dance, or any other form of creative expression, we can give voice to our repressed aspects and channel their energy in positive and constructive ways. By integrating our shadow into our daily lives, we can access greater creative potential, vitality, and passion. By embracing our wholeness, with our lights and our shadows, we can live a fuller, more authentic, and meaningful life. Part 4. Beyond the Shadow. Chapter 7. The Shadow as a Spiritual Path. In this final chapter, we will explore the shadow from a spiritual perspective, recognizing its transformative potential and its role in our path to enlightenment and personal fulfillment. The shadow as a teacher. Our shadow, although it may seem a dark and threatening force, can become a valuable teacher on our path of personal and spiritual growth. By confronting our repressed and dark aspects, we can learn important lessons about ourselves, about human nature, and about the world around us. The shadow as a mirror. Our shadow acts as a mirror that reflects those aspects of ourselves that we do not want to see. By facing our shadow, we can recognize patterns of behavior, limiting beliefs, and emotional wounds that prevent us from living a full and authentic life. The shadow challenges us to look beyond our idealized image of ourselves and to accept our humanity in all its complexity. The shadow as a catalyst for change. The shadow can act as a catalyst for change, prompting us to step out of our comfort zone and face our fears and limitations. By working with our shadow, we can transform negative behavior patterns, heal emotional wounds, and develop greater resilience and inner strength. Lessons from the shadow. The shadow can teach us valuable lessons about acceptance, accepting our imperfections, weaknesses, and vulnerabilities as part of our humanity. Compassion, cultivate compassion for ourselves and others, recognizing that we all have lights and shadows. Humility, recognizing that we are not perfect and that there is always room to grow and learn. Responsibility, taking responsibility for our thoughts, emotions, and actions, rather than blaming others or external circumstances. Integrity, living according to our values and principles, even when it is difficult or challenging. Self-love, learning to love and accept ourselves unconditionally, with our lights and our shadows. By embracing our shadow like a teacher, we can transform our difficulties into opportunities for growth and learning. The shadow invites us to explore the depths of our psyche, to discover our true essence and to live a more authentic and fulfilling life. Shadow and lighting. Shadow integration is not only a psychological healing process, but also a spiritual path to enlightenment and self-fulfillment. By embracing our darkness, paradoxically, we open ourselves to the light of consciousness and transcendence. The shadow as an obstacle on the spiritual path. In many spiritual traditions, the shadow is seen as an obstacle on the path to enlightenment. Repressed and denied aspects of ourselves can create energetic blockages, negative thought patterns, and emotional attachments that prevent us from experiencing inner peace and connection to the divine. The shadow as a portal to enlightenment. However, the shadow can also be a portal to enlightenment. By acknowledging and accepting our shadow, we transcend the duality of light and dark, of good and evil. By integrating our shadow, we become more complete and get closer to our true essence, which is pure consciousness and unconditional love. The process of enantiodromia. Carl Jung described the process of enantiodromia, in which the repressed shadow, being ignored or denied, can be transformed into its opposite. For example, a person who represses their anger may experience outbursts of uncontrollable rage. By integrating the shadow, we can avoid this transformation into the opposite and find a balance between light and dark. The shadow in different spiritual traditions. In Buddhism, the shadow is related to the concept of avidya, or ignorance, which is the root of suffering. By recognizing and transcending our ignorance, we can attain enlightenment and liberation from suffering. In Hinduism, the shadow relates to the god Shiva, the destroyer and transformer. Shiva represents the energy needed to dissolve the attachments and illusions that keep us trapped in the cycle of suffering. In the Christian tradition, the shadow is related to the figure of Satan, the tempter. However, some authors interpret Satan as an aspect of the divine psyche that challenges us to confront our darkness and choose the path of light. In shamanism, the shadow is considered an essential part of the soul that needs to be integrated in order to achieve wholeness and balance. Shamans use techniques such as shamanic journeying and soul retrieval to help people integrate their shadow and heal emotional and spiritual wounds. The integration of the shadow as a path of self-knowledge and transformation. Working with the shadow is a path of self-knowledge and deep transformation. By embracing our darkness, we open ourselves up to the possibility of experiencing greater wholeness, authenticity, and spiritual connection. The integration of shadow allows us to transcend duality and live in harmony with our human nature, with all its lights and shadows. Integrating light and dark. The spiritual path is not about denying or rejecting our shadow, but about integrating it into our wholeness. Recognizing that we are dual beings, with light and dark aspects, is essential to achieve fulfillment and inner balance. The dance of opposites. Life is a constant dance of opposites, light and dark, joy and sadness, love and fear, creation and destruction. Denying or repressing one of these poles only creates imbalance and suffering. By integrating our shadow, we learn to accept and embrace this duality, recognizing that both aspects are necessary for our evolution and growth. The shadow as a complement to the light. Our shadow is not our enemy, but our complement. Just as light needs darkness to manifest, our inner light needs our shadow to shine brighter. The shadow shows us our limits, our weaknesses, and our areas of growth, allowing us to develop greater compassion, humility, and wisdom. The path to wholeness. The integration of the shadow is a path to wholeness, to the union of opposites into a harmonious whole. By embracing our shadow, we stop fragmenting and recognize ourselves as whole beings, with a wide range of emotions, thoughts, and experiences. This integration allows us to live a more authentic, fulfilling, and meaningful life. Practices for integrating light and dark. Accept our duality, recognize that we are complex and multifaceted beings, with light and dark aspects. Accept that both aspects are part of our human nature and that neither is better or worse than the other. Observe without judgment, observe our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors without judging them as good or bad. Accept our inner expertise with curiosity and openness. Cultivate compassion, practice compassion toward ourselves and others, recognizing that we are all imperfect beings on a path of learning and growth. Finding balance, seeking balance between light and dark, between action and receptivity, between giving and receiving. Recognize that both poles are necessary for our health and well-being. Celebrate diversity, learn to appreciate the diversity of life, recognizing that each human being has his or her own light and shadow. Celebrate our differences and learn from each other. By integrating light and darkness into our lives, we open ourselves up to a richer and deeper experience of existence. We transcend duality and connect with our true essence, which is pure consciousness, love, and oneness. Epilogue. We have come to the end of this journey through the shadow, a journey that has led us to explore the deepest corners of our psyche and discover the transformative power that lies in our darkness. Throughout these pages, we have learned that the shadow is not an enemy to be feared, but an ally to be integrated. We have discovered that our wounds, our fears, and our imperfections are part of our humanity, and that by embracing them with compassion and love, we can free ourselves from their burden and access greater wholeness and authenticity. This manual is just the beginning of your journey towards shadow integration. I invite you to continue exploring, to continue learning, and to continue growing. Remember that the shadow is not something that can be completely removed but is an integral part of ourselves that needs to be recognized, accepted, and loved. In doing so, we open ourselves up to the possibility of living a fuller, more authentic, and more meaningful life. May this manual serve as a guide and inspiration on your way to the inner light. May it help you discover the transformative power of the shadow and live a life in harmony with your true essence. References. This manual, Integrating the Shadow, draws on the wisdom and experience of renowned authors and therapists who have dedicated their lives to exploring the concept of the shadow and its role in personal and spiritual growth. Below are the main references that have inspired and guided the development of this manual. Romancing the Shadow by Connie Zweig and Jeremiah Abrams. This book offers a deep and accessible insight into the concept of shadow, exploring its origins, manifestations, and transformative potential. Owning Your Own Shadow by Robert A. Johnson. this classic work of Jungian psychology invites us to recognize and embrace our shadow as an essential part of ourselves and offers us practical tools for working with it. Meeting the Shadow, edited by Connie Zweig and Jeremiah Abrams, this book brings together essays by various authors who explore the shadow from different perspectives, offering a broad and enriching view of this complex concept. The Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie Ford. This book challenges us to confront our repressed aspects and to recognize the transformative power that lurks in our shadow. Inner Gold by Robert A. Johnson. This work invites us to explore the relationship between the shadow and the inner gold, that treasure of wisdom and potential that resides in the depths of our being. This manual is a tribute to the courage and honesty of those who have dared to look within and face its shadows. It is an invitation to embark on your own journey of self-discovery and transformation, and to discover the power that lies in your darkness.